Really wanted to make a short video about my oil pressure switch problems as I sailed down the coast from Canada and the US, Washington State recently to get down to San Francisco Bay Area where I am now. And one of the things that was a major problem, if you've seen any of those videos, you'll know that having had 3 days initially of really strong conditions, I mean, getting chucked about the boat, everything ending up on the cabin floor, really not expecting the strong conditions that I got, which was great in a way because it meant that I made good speed down offshore to get down to San Francisco. Got here in 5 days. Could have been a lot longer. Then, of course, when the wind dropped and the seas calmed down, I then went to use the engine, and soon after found that my engine oil pressure switch was screaming at me all day for 2 days solidly. Lots of comments I've had about how could you possibly survive that. I get pretty good at ignoring problems if I can't do anything about them. But anyway, I mean, I did try to resolve the problem as I saw it. The problem being that I heard the alarm go off. So obviously, what do? You go and check your oil in the engine, which at that point was running because it was flat calm, no wind. The sail was up, but not doing anything. So what do? I stop the engine. We drift around. I rush down below, pull out the dipstick, and find it looks completely dry. Absolutely no sign of oil at the bottom of it at all. Oh my God, what's going on? I've changed the oil filter, I've changed the oil, I've got plenty of oil. Where's it all got to? Look underneath the engine, nothing there. Look in the bilge, nothing there. No sign of any oil anywhere, and yet the engine alarm switch is screaming at me as soon as I start the engine. So, okay, what am I going to do? Is the engine going to seize up on me? Is there really no oil in there? I really can't understand what's going on. Anyway, I put in some oil, obviously. I think I put in about 1.5 liters. I mean, the entire oil capacity is only 5 or 6 liters anyway. So I put in 1.5 just so there was something. Start the engine up again, keep on going, and then the alarm starts off again, screaming at me all the time. I can't keep putting in oil, so I just run the engine thinking, well, the engine's sounding okay. About 4 or 5, maybe 6 hours later, I stop the engine again, go down, check. All this time the alarm is screaming at me. No oil, still, the dipstick clean as a whistle. I couldn't believe what it was looking like. Whatever is going on? Again, nothing underneath the engine, nothing in the bilges, no sign of any oil anywhere, but nothing on the dipstick. Really can't understand how the hell this can be happening. Start up again, go on a bit further, go down, check, identical, still no oil on the dipstick. Oh, by this time I really cannot understand. How can the engine be running when there's no oil in it for a start? Add a touch more oil again. Well aware of the fact that, of course, if you overfill the oil in the engine, you've got another problem. So anyway, so there we go. By this time, I then decide to call the US Coast Guard and just let them know that we seem to be having a little bit of a problem here. No, we're not in distress. This isn't even a pan. I don't need help, but I just want to give you a heads up that we do seem to be having an oil problem. Anyway, a few hours later, I'd calculated how much oil I got on board, how much can I add into the engine, how much longer is it going to take me to get down to San Francisco at present rate of knots, and okay, every 6 hours, if I add in another liter or so of oil, I can get myself down to San Francisco, hopefully. Anyway, the very next time I checked the situation, suddenly there's oil on the dipstick where it should be, i.e. showing a bit over full because, I've been adding it a bit of oil every time. So get hold of the Coast Guard, say, oh, I think we're okay. Looks so we do have the oil that I've been expecting to be there all the time anyway. Instead of you calling me every 2 hours, which was what the arrangement had become, I'll call you if I have a problem. You know, if the engine seizes up and I need help to get towed in, I'll call you. But in the meantime, the engine is sounding sweet. I've just seen oil on the dipstick, and so maybe, you know, there's something weird happening just with that oil sensor switch. So that's how we left things. And in fact, yes, I did get down to San Francisco fine, under motor. I don't know, 1 or 2 days later. I've lost count of exactly where I was by this time, probably a day into my 2.5 day journey under motor now for the end of the journey. And so we get into San Francisco, and sure enough, of course, the engine is overfilled with oil, not dramatically so, but enough that some of the oil had to be taken out. All fresh, clean oil, looking good, engine sounding sweet. Anyway, a few days later, I got to the Southampton Boat Show, and I went to the Yanmar stand, explained what had happened to the Yanmar dealer there. And interestingly, one of the comments that he made, I mean, he went through all the options. Yeah, sorry about the plane going overhead, if you can hear it. I'm in flight week in San Francisco at the moment, so I think this is some of the fly paths going by. Anyway, hopefully the sound will be fine. If not, I'll just have to remake the video. So where were we? So I was at the Southampton Boat Show, explained my problem to this Yanmar guy, very experienced. And the comment he made after a bit, he kind of pretty well agreed, well, it looks as though you've got the oil sensor switch is your problem. It's a faulty switch. In fact, a day or two later, he brought in a switch for me that I could bring back to San Francisco with me, and that will get replace the switch that's there. But the comment he made that was really interesting, and I'd had something similar by now from a couple of other friends. Oh, it's a Yanmar. Oh, 4JH4AE. Yeah, we've got the same motor. We've had that problem. If you turn off the engine after it's been going for a time, and you dive down below, as I was, because I didn't want to drift around for too long, I wanted to get going underway again. You go down really quickly, pull out the dipstick, it will show no oil because the oil has not had time to overcome what has become a pressure difference building up in that dipstick compared with the rest of the engine. What you should have done is to pull out the dipstick, put it back in again, pull it out, put it back in again, and maybe even pull it out a third time, and you will find that you now have the genuine oil level on display on your dipstick, and you won't see nothing showing as I had done those other times. A very, very interesting and useful comment, not one I'd ever had before, and showing that I needed a bit more time for the engine pressure, and also, as I say, to relieve the pressure in the dipstick compared with the rest of the engine. It had sealed top and bottom of the dipstick tube, and so by releasing that pressure, raising the dipstick in and out a few times, now the oil can flow back. Give it a few moments more and you will see what really is happening with the oil. So a very, very useful comment, a very simple comment, and one that if I'd realized earlier, I could have saved myself a lot of hassle, a lot of grief with that. I wouldn't have overcome the screaming of the dipstick, of the oil pressure alarm switch. I wouldn't have stopped it screaming at me, but I would at least have known not to worry about it and just give myself more time to check the oil level. Anyway, so I thought that was probably worth a little video of its own right. Something which maybe a lot of you already know, but maybe others like me, others of you weren't aware of, and it might be useful in future. Not that you'll have the oil switch pressure switch screaming at you, hopefully, but at least you will know to give more time when you want to check the true level of the oil in your Yanmar motor next time round, and maybe in other motors as well. I'm quite sure that this is possibly not just generic to Yanmar engines, but maybe to other motors as well. Okay, so hope you found that of interest. Do hit that subscribe button down in the bottom right hand corner if you haven't done already, and you'll get my next video coming up. You'll get notified whenever they come up. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.